so much for starting right at 11 o'clock. Good morning. Welcome to the Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Stuart, Florida. Today is November 27th, 2022. My name is Janet Grote, and I'll be your worship associate today because Richard, who is out in the greeting area, has been in and out of the hospital twice with pneumonia, and his voice is still a bit weak, so here I am. We are a welcoming congregation. We welcome people of all gender identities, ethnicities, ages, and backgrounds. It's wonderful to see all our vaccinated members in the sanctuary. We're on YouTube too. To be put on our email list or to find out more information about us, go to our website at tcuuc.org. Note the email link to request our online newsletter. As Lynn Olson used to say, put your cell phones in worship mode. Let's see, visitors. I think we don't have any brand new people here, so. Today, Karen Olesch will be in our pulpit. Karen is currently studying to be a UU minister through our divinity school, Meadville Lombard. Nancy Head, a longtime member of TCUUC, died on Friday, November 11th. She will be missed. Nancy and Roger were active in about everything the church did. The service for Nancy will be Tuesday, December 27th at Pine Lake Community Clubhouse. Bob has volunteered for us to bring desserts for the service. Today, after the service, we can start decorating the tree if there are a few volunteers. I think Ronnie might give us some direction on that, maybe. Okay. Of course, join us the first and third Tuesdays at Stewart Veterans Memorial Park downtown at noon for our brown bag lunch. The Adventure Club has restarted. See the newsletter. Tai Chi classes are now being offered for a fee in the sanctuary. Friday morning, see Judy, I know she's here. There she is, back row, Bajoris. And we have a weekly Zoom book club. We'll start a new book, this time fiction, Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. We're going to start that book on December 14th. See John Moore or the newsletter. And I can't help but to mention what I'm sure is going to be a new tradition for us, Thanksgiving potlucks. Thank you, Pam Corbin, Corina Poloni, and Chris McGann for coming up with the ideas. And, of course, all the help setting up and in the kitchen. And today, Joanne Leon is in the kitchen setting up for our coffee in Heston Hall. Here is our prelude.
Okay. You want up or down?
Up.
Up? Okay.
Took me a while.
Whenever someone dies, I usually play something in a minor key, but we'll keep our spirits up.
For the gift of this day and for our community of spiritual nurture and compassion, we give thanks. We light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. May our many sparks meet and merge in communion of heart and soul. The word courage comes from the Latin cor, which means heart. The original use of the word courage meant to stand by one's core, a striking concept that reinforces the belief found in most all religious traditions that living from the center is what enables us to face whatever life has to offer. To encourage means to hearten, to impart strength and confidence. This is our work as a religious community, to encourage one another to be bold in engaging the world around us, as well as what scares us. Engage that too. To give one another confidence and heart to live as fully as possible. Erica Hewitt. Karen would like us to all stand, if you're willing and able, to sing along with this YouTube. Let it be.
When I find myself in times of trouble, Monday comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. In my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. 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 Whisper words of wisdom, let it be. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. Though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. There will be an answer, let it be. Yeah, let it be. Oh, now let it be, now let it be. Whisper words of wisdom, let it be.
Thank you, Karen. I think we all enjoyed that one. We'll move to our affirmation. Guess I do need my glasses on, although I have this memorized, right? Love. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to have truth and love, and to help one another.
Let's share our joys and sorrows. Please step up to the microphone to speak. Tell us your name first. Move a stone in our symbolic river of life to mark each joy and sorrow. Try to keep it personal and brief.
My name is Pam Corbin. I have 3 concerns, personal concerns, but the first thing I'd like to say is gratitude. I'm grateful to the people that helped for the potluck Thanksgiving that we had on Sunday the 20th. And I would just point out to you that when the idea is good, and when there is a need, you all came forward to help. And I appreciate that. So thank you. Also, Karen was pressed into service for doing a little prayer before the meal, that you could go up to someone and say, listen, can you help us out? Can you help us focus? She did it. She just came and said, oh, okay, and her theme was gratitude. Second thing is food insecurity. There are members of this church that have food insecurity. I noticed. There are people that want you to invite them to dinner. There are people who don't have enough to eat. Look around, reach out, and invite them to something. There is food insecurity in this church. And the third thing is, I've been watching the news, and of course the mass shootings, my heart bleeds, really. But have you noticed that in a lot of these shootings, the perpetrator was bullied? So just think about that and ask your schools to run anti-bullying programs. Think of it, step in when someone is being bullied, because bullying hurts. Thanks.
We want this to be brief, so guitar, my fingers hurt. I recently got a guitar as a gift from my dad, and now I'm currently learning some songs on it. I thank him for that, but my fingers do hurt a gracious amount.
Hi, I'm Joe. I have a brief joy, but before that, being a warehouse of pointless and useless knowledge, I must share with you that we just sang Let It Be. Mother Mary in Let It Be is not the Virgin Mary. Mother Mary is Paul McCartney's deceased mother, so I just want to make sure you got that. You couldn't go home today without knowing that. My joy is a very dear friend. The whole reason I moved to Florida, somebody I grew up with in Connecticut who moved here, and I resulted in my moving here. I just spent Thanksgiving with him and his family. He and his fiancée got married last night. Lovely lady that he met down here. In fact, it was his realtor when he came down here. And it was a wonderful wedding. A lot of love, a lot of joy, a lot of wonderful music. His grandson stole the show. He's about this big, and he was bouncing all over the place constantly. And it's just wonderful. You know, these last several years have been awful on so many levels, and it's just nice. You see enough of good people and having bad things happen to good people. It's nice to see good things happen to good people, and to be a part of it is just quite the joy.
I just want you to know that your fingers stop hurting after a little while. I got to visit my brother and have my sister there we siblings get together at Thanksgiving every year, except for during COVID. And my great joy was, my wife and I have no kids, and my brother has one son, and my sister has one son. We're of that, generation that's not having a lot of kids. And my sister's son was there with his partner. They may never get married, but the two of them together was just such a loving example of young love, and it was wonderful. And then my brother said, why don't we call my son, who's in Seattle? He actually was in Portland with his girlfriend. He recently, a couple years ago, he broke up with his wife, and he's found a new partner in life. We just found out about this, and their relationship was just so loving and lovely. And so just having those two young examples of love at Thanksgiving was the great joy of my Thanksgiving. Thanks for letting. Thanks.
Hi, a lot of you don't know us, but we've just been here 2 Sundays, and for the Thanksgiving.
3. Oh, you're
Three.
keeping track?
3. And we just want to say how thankful we are for this church and for meeting all of you. We came down here back from Virginia and said we have to do something different, and we need something in our lives that is meaningful and people that we can talk to and discuss things with and be heard and understood in a spiritual way. And we walked in here, and I have to say we were just so overwhelmed with the love that we received that first time, which brought us back. We had a marvelous, so we didn't have any kids, any grandchildren to celebrate with. Our families are scattered around the United States. And so having this Thanksgiving with you all really made it for us. So from all of us, thank you so much. Cindy and Larry.
Yeah, I'm Larry, if you didn't know, okay. And I'm the quiet one. I just want to thank you very much for welcoming us. It's been a really nice experience being here.
Judy Bajaris, and just very quickly, in an continued attitude of gratitude, I think quite a few of us from the Unitarian, from our church, went to see Joe in A Few Good Men, and so it was wonderful, and he's a great actor, and I just am grateful for community theater. It is something that just is such a gift that we can see fine acting and great drama and comedy and so on. So.
For those whose joys and sorrows are too private to share, Janet will move a stone. Know that our hearts are with you. Morning has come. Arise and greet the day. Dance with joy and sing a song of gladness. The light of hope here shines upon each face. May it bring faith to guide our journey home. That's by Jason Shelton. And now we'll have a moment of silence. Please rise if you are able to join us in hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. We'll hum the first verse and then sing the second.
I'll play a little introduction first.
me. Sing in our heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving light the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Joe and John, could you be the ushers, please?
Thank you for that offering that will help to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. Brandon Lovely. Are you living the good life? This is a powerful question. Most likely, when I asked this question, an immediate response came into your mind, an intuitive response. Pay attention to what came up for you. Was it a feeling? Was there an immediate yes or no response? Maybe you said, sometimes. Or maybe you asked the question, what does she mean by the question? I do not mean for you to examine this question in terms of monetary wealth, being in good health, success, achieving, or all of those things you might be striving for. These things might create a sense that we are living the good life, but most likely it is a temporary feeling, and our sense of the good life disappears when the money goes away, we no longer feel successful, our health takes a turn, or we aren't achieving enough. I also do not mean for you to think about the current state of our society. It is a mess, and our feelings on the good life are certainly tied to it and issues of social justice. But that is something that I will address at a later time. There are all sorts of external things that affect the good life. But today, I don't want to examine those external things. Instead, we are going to turn inward for our examination of the good life. I want to take a deep dive into our core and our center of being. The good life is something we can feel in our hearts. It has everything to do with what is within us. It is something that we can create. But in order to create it, there are a few things that we need to do. Yoga teacher Travis Elliott thinks there are 7 steps to leading the good life. And while he is talking about these 7 steps, he is guiding people through a strenuous yoga practice. I found his video on YouTube a couple of months ago, And while I can barely make it through his 1-hour sequence of asanas, I was inspired by his words, and I do practice often. I wanted to share some of his words and my reflections on being in the flow of the good life. We won't get to all 7 today, but that's okay. I'll promise I'll do a follow-up sermon, a Good Life Flow Part 2. So to be in the flow of the good life is like a yoga practice, something you take up every day. You don't just think about it once and then tuck it away. To be in the flow of the good life, you must practice, and when you get stuck or out of the flow, you have to keep coming back. You have to reinsert yourself into the flow. It is like a hike through the woods. There are many paths. You pick a path, but then later you realize, oops, I have gotten off track. I need to find my way back to the path so that I can be in the flow again. Eliot says that step 1 is to press the pause button. To press the pause button, what does that mean? To press the pause button means that we need to find a different state of being. When we pause, we are not doing, we are not achieving, we are in a state of rest, of silence, of non-doing. But we also have to watch the mind. I don't mean we are just pausing our bodies, but we are also pressing the pause button on our minds. Eliot and other yogi masters say the mind is like a kite that is easily swept away by the winds of distraction. So right now in church, you may just be sitting and listening, so your body is on pause. Is your mind on pause? Are you really listening? Or is your mind thinking about other things? What you will do after church? The problems you are having with X, Y, Z, you fill in the blank here. Is your mind clear? Are you fully present? Are you, like the Buddha, awake? When the mind clears and quiets, we can center ourselves. We can let go and just be. How does this lead to the good life? When the mind is quiet and we are still, there is no suffering. When we are not suffering, we are feeling good. We are in the flow of the good life. It is hard to pause, and most likely we will do it for only a few seconds at a time. There are 2 ways that I have found helpful to encourage a pause in my life. One is a watchword called neti, and the other is to use the breath as an anchor. Neti means that I am not this thought. You say it 3 times. Neti, neti, neti. I am not this thought. I am not that thought. I am not thought at all. Usually the neti practice is something we do during our daily meditation practice, and then we bring it out of our meditation practice into our daily lives. If you find yourself in a situation in which you feel like you need to pause, you can say neti, neti, neti to bring yourself back to present awareness. I've done this while standing in the grocery store line. I've done it in many places. It's always available to you, whether you're in meditation, on the yoga mat, in church, or somewhere else. Another practice also done in meditation first and then brought into our daily lives is a breath practice. You can watch your breathing. Now I am breathing in. Now I am breathing out. Since this is a sermon about practice and participation, we're going to try both practices now. So I invite you to get comfortable in your seat. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so. And then silently notice the breath and say, now I am breathing in. Now I am breathing out. Now I am breathing in. Now I am breathing out. When your mind begins to wander, you say Nettie, 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 and bring your focus back to your breath. Feel free to open your eyes. The Nettie practice and the breath practice bring you to a state of clarity and awareness. As many of you know, several years ago, I had a crisis with my health. Essentially, my pelvic floor collapsed. While I had several surgeries to help fix the problem, I am still in chronic pain. When the pain becomes distracting, I press the pause button. The pain is in my body, but I am not my body. My body can do its thing. My mind can do its thing, but I don't have to engage. I can just pause. I can just breathe. And now I am in the flow of the good life. I suspect many of you have had health problems or know people that do. Will these techniques solve your problem? No, but they can ease your suffering. We'll come back to the idea of suffering again, but for now I want to move on to step 2. Eliot says that step 2 is to set an intention or have a vision. For those of you that practice yoga, you know one of the first things that you do, or you're asked to do by the yoga teacher, is to set an intention for your practice. Well, you can set an intention at any point in your life. What he means here is to pick a quality you want to embody, maybe strength or courage, abundance, love, wholeness, generosity, whatever resonates with you. I'll give you a moment to choose one. Do you have one? If not, that's okay. You can think about it later. You can pick a new quality to work with at any time. Maybe you want to work with this quality for a few minutes, an hour, all day, all week, all month. It's up to you. Let's just see where it leads us. When we have our quality, then we place the words I am before it. For example, I am strength. I am love. I am peaceful. Then we say it over and over again. Let's try it again. Say your intention silently to yourself 5 times. If you hadn't guessed already, what this really is an affirmation. When we repeat an affirmation, it leads us to a new belief about ourselves. Once we truly embrace this belief with deep conviction, things begin to happen. We can create our reality. We can manifest our own destiny. All I am really talking about here is using your mind to change your perception about something you are struggling with in your life. We are using the power of the mind, thought, and belief to be and create what we want to create. I often find myself saying, I am resilient. When I get stuck in my pain body and I tell myself that I am resilient, it helps me get out of suffering and into a state of hope. Now, instead of focusing on my pain, I am focusing on hope. Really, the problem with my pelvic floor was so bad that I was stuck in bed for a year while they tried to figure out what was wrong. When you are in pain and stuck in bed, you don't have a lot of hope. I had to keep telling myself that I could get through this moment because I was resilient. I did discover that I had a lot more strength than I ever knew, and it has reshaped my entire life. Instead of associating my pain with something negative, I changed my perception and focused on what it had taught me and what it continues to teach me about myself. Do I always feel resilient? No. Did I think about suicide as a way out? Most definitely I did. When this happened, I pressed the pause button. I used my affirmation, and I eventually would find my way back into the flow of the good life. Step 3, Eliot says, is to address the obstacle. What is getting in the way of you embodying your quality? What is stifling you from being in your truest place of power? I think there are many answers to this question, and each of you may have your own. A few of the possibilities might be that you don't trust yourself, or you don't believe in yourself, or you don't believe you can embody this quality. You may have told yourself a story that isn't true about you. For example, maybe life has really broken you down and you don't think people love or support you. You feel alone and think you will be alone. Your affirmation has become, "No one really cares about me," instead of, "Love is all around me." If you think you are alone and are feeling lonely, it is because you are not open yet to letting love in. Pain can really be an obstacle that keeps us from moving forward and that keeps us out of the flow of the good life. But notice that I said yet. You're not open yet to letting love in. You might not be ready to let go of past pain, but this does not mean that you will never get there. You can work to get there because you are strong, courageous, and powerful. Just think, you've gotten this far. You can keep going. Think about how strong you have been to get to this present moment. In order to be in the flow of the good life, we really have to sit back and examine the messages that our mind is giving us. Many of those messages are based in fear and pain, and that is okay. It takes time. Be kind to yourself. Remember, it is a daily practice. Sometimes we tend to think that others are our obstacles, and we begin to play the if-only game. If only this person would get out of my way, I could get back to the flow of the good life. When I was in the midst of my illness and tired from all the procedures and surgeries, I told my ex-husband that he was the problem, that he had always been the problem, and that his life was interfering with the way I wished to live. I believed he was my obstacle. I was not kind. I hurt him deeply. And I have since apologized many times because I truly finally recognized that it was easier to blame others than it is to see the places where we get stuck and where our minds hold us out of the flow of the good life. It is hard to examine the agreements we have made with ourselves that might need revising. While he has forgiven me for the things that I have said, I have not yet forgiven myself, because I know how deeply I hurt him and how deeply I caused him pain. Not forgiving ourselves can also be an obstacle. Not forgiving others can be an obstacle. It is quite amazing how many obstacles get in the way of us embodying our quality and being in the good life flow. Ask yourself right now, what is my obstacle in this present moment? Then ask yourself, how can I dissolve this obstacle? What new stories could I tell myself? Breathe into what you are feeling. No judgment. Work with what you have right now in this moment. What is your intuition telling you that it needs? If this personal work becomes too hard, that's okay. Press the pause button. In a yoga practice, when things get challenging, we rest in child's pose until we are ready to get back into the yoga flow. You can rest too, and when you are ready, you will begin again. Steve Smith, author of the book Ways of Wisdom, states, "The good life. The very words are inviting. Images come to mind of how our lives might be if our deepest needs and longings were fulfilled. Yet in awakening our hopes, such images are a reminder of the distance between what is and what might be." Today, we have thought of many things to try to bridge that gap between what is and what might be. We have pressed the pause button. We have turned inward to practice the neti and breath technique. We have identified an affirmation to work within our lives. We have thought about some possible obstacles that get in our way of being in the good life flow. So you may have noticed that you have a piece of paper and a pen on your seat, or there's one next to you. So to end today's sermon, I want you to write your obstacle on the piece of paper you have in front of you. And then when you are ready, you will come up and put the piece of paper in this bowl of water. This can be a powerful step in dissolving your obstacles, and it can be done at any time. I just want to bless the obstacles that are in the bowl. And to them I say, may all your obstacles be dissolved. Om Tat Sat Om Aham Brahmasmi. I am the creative principle. And we will have our last hymn, hymn number 128, For All That Is Our Life.
I do not know this now.
You don't know this?
No.
Oh.
I'm a Jew group. So what's the tempo? It's not something I.
Oh, I thought it was one that we played a lot.
We do. Oh, okay.
We sing our thanks and praise, for all life is a gift, which we are called to use to the common good. Make our own days glad. Needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love. We come with thanks and thanks for all that is our life. For we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful hours that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life. For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift, which we are called to use to build the common good. Make our own days glad. Thank you so much. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, not the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Please join us for coffee hour after the postlude.
Thank you.